So back in spring last year, we had a new head teacher who was appointed with us. So we were a fairly newly established SLT. So we started by looking at our school self-evaluation processes. And off the back of that, then we started some work with EAS to support us in how we could unpick things and move things forward. So one of our key priorities was to develop the quality of teaching and learning through our focus in our professional learning sessions. So we started by attending the Agile Leadership Programme with Dr. Simon Breakspear, and that was supported by EAS. And then off the back of that, Dan Davis from EAS came in and supported us as an SLT in the first instance to unpick the areas of focus that we wanted for our school. And then following that, he supported us and delivering some PL sessions with the staff, and that started with the teacher sprint model, and it grew then through writing rapid action plans, and overall we ended up developing our teaching and learning policy off the back of the work that we did with Dan. So as an SLT, Dan came in and supported us to really unpick, I suppose, what the key focus needed to be to drive teaching and learning forward. So off the back of that, we then started our teacher sprint model, and we chose one forensic detail, I suppose, of pedagogy that we wanted to focus on, and each staff member then took an element of that they were going to develop in their own classrooms. And we found that this was a really low risk way of doing it, and it opened up that professional dialogue where people were able to reflect on what was going on in their rooms, and that had a really positive impact on our discussions as a team. And we saw it in our lesson observations and our lesson drop-ins, and we saw the children were much more engaged in their learning as a result. So as a leadership team, I think we have much more clarity on the progress that we're making as a school, and the progress we can see in teaching and learning and the changes in the classroom. It also gives us a model for moving forward using the teacher sprints and potentially combining them in future with the walkthrough model and a coaching approach. For our teachers, I think it's really opened up the opportunity to have that reflective dialogue. It's a safe space to have that conversation and to share practice, and it just takes away the fear of getting it wrong, I suppose. And for the children, we really have seen a much higher level of engagement and participation within the lessons, and more importantly, the willingness to engage with those more challenging aspects of their learning. And that's been picked up on learning dips and learning walks, and actually from our feedback from the children as well. So overall, it's been a really positive experience for us.
So for us here, it was really nice to dedicate and commit to the time required to have quite a narrow focus on an aspect of our teaching and our pedagogy, and I suppose engage in that professional learning experience, analyse its impact, and hopefully obviously see some progress amongst our learners.
And as a new teacher, I'm still in my third year of teaching, it was great to dedicate some time to promoting new aspects and investing in time in my experience. In our classroom, we've been focusing on questioning skills. We have a certain amount of learners who would rather not put their hand up, but we know that they know the answer, but it's encouraging them to join in and take part. So we use Say It Again Better. We'll bounce the question around the room and learners will add their answers. We also use the technique of asking the question but then leaving a longer period of time so more learners put their hands up, and we have noticed a marked improvement on engagement from the students.
So in my class it was very similar in that we developed Think, Pair, Share. Surprising how we give very little thought really to the dynamics between a pair of children and how looking far more closely at those pairings and the impact that have on the quality of answers that the children would provide. In addition to that, the level of engagement across the students significantly improved when we really prepared the questioning and gave them that opportunity to think very, very detailed answers with a partner that complemented their own views. So following the focus of Think, Pair, Share, we identified the need to say it again better. So our focus became clearer in terms of what we needed to do to support our learners. And lots of children found it useful to give percentage points to an answer. So in terms of feedback from teachers and also from learners, as it has become the case, learners would provide an answer, and then students themselves were offering ideas as to whether or not they could give the extra 30% or you're 90% of the way there. Can you just give me that extra 10% of an answer? So the quality and the level of depth and detail in learners' answers was starting to see a significant improvement.
Absolutely. I say again, with going down lower into the school, we, instead of using percentages, we kind of called it the layering of the cake. So we'd have the initial answer, and then it would ping pong around the room, building up that answer to we getting a full cake. And the children were so engaged in wanting to keep adding their perspective onto the question and to the answer, until at the end we've got a whole answer specifically for a specific question, and they were really pleased with joining in, and it was just engaging. And they really loved it.